who is your pick for the Tigers in terms of most surprised if they do get traded?
It's really down to two guys for me. One, only because he's very effective and he's under control for a long time, and that's Jason Foley. I'll still be surprised if he gets moved. I still think that they probably should look to move him, though. Relievers are very volatile. We all know that. I'm not breaking any new ground by making that statement. So he's really looking impressive. He looks like a guy who could help a quality ball club at the end of their games. At the end of, you could give him the ball in the seventh inning of a playoff game and feel like his stuff could carry the day through that inning and help you win. I really do believe that. What can that bring in trade? Again, if they got someone like a Justin Henry Malloy or something even slightly better than that in a trade for a reliever, I think that's a pretty solid piece to bring into your organization for where this team is right now. The other one who would mildly surprise me, only because everybody needs catching. People say everybody needs bullpen. Lots of teams need catchers. If Jake Rogers had to be tossed into a trade to make the right thing, to make it go, he's been hitting pretty well, and he's a decent defensive catcher. He had a base running goof up today, but who cares? The game was over anyway. But Jake Rogers might have a mini market, or he might be the piece that they could toss into a trade to make it go. And I know they would be short on catching to get through the season, but the season is probably going down the tank here in the next 6 weeks, so they'd be able to bring in somebody and get through the year.
Striking when the iron's hot, when a guy is performing well. There should be a lot of trade interest in Jake Rogers. He's an above-average hitter as a catcher who's also solid defensively. So I'm with you. I'd be pretty surprised if he's moved. He's 28 years old. So you still hope if the Tigers were to keep him, he has a couple years left of being a solid catcher for them and being the option for them. But I don't know. I looked at a guy like Kerry Carpenter. I'd be really shocked if he gets traded. I mean, another guy is Alex Lange. I just think with the struggles that he's had, I'd be pretty shocked if the Tigers move him.
I think it's a shame that Alex Lange really backtracked here over the last 6 weeks or whatever. He where he was through the month of May, he was probably making himself some money, number one, eventually, but also becoming someone who was tradable, who maybe there would have been a market if he could have kept it up. But now he's just looking so erratic. Even when I saw him get a save in Kansas City, boy, it was a white knuckle event. So I think I would be hard pressed to say any contender is going to look at Alex Lange and say, oh, hey, let's bring that roller coaster into our bullpen situation. I just don't think that's going to happen, right? So I agree with you. I don't see him getting moved. I think if I was running a contender, I'd look at Jason Foley way before Alex Lange at this time. Major League Baseball has to be pretty happy about one thing. Many things right now, but one thing in particular, just think of all the teams you just mentioned who might be in the market to pick up players. And that is generating a lot of talk across baseball. The deadline's a popular topic every year, but I think it's really, it has already gotten started with some moves. I think it's going to be a really active weekend, and it's good to see some teams that maybe were sellers in the past, or at least people who were kind of on the sidelines, might make some moves to bring in some ball players and get some help. I mean, if the Marlins actually bring in help, I mean, when is the last time that happened? The Diamondbacks, another one, as you mentioned. So I think it's going to be a real exciting week here. A lot of stuff to go. And the Tigers should have some way to get in the mix with obviously the two starting pitchers, but I got to think they're going to dip into that bullpen if the right deal is there.
Yeah, and I think there should. And even like you say, this is going to be an interesting deadline. I think this is going to be a seller's market. We saw Carlos Santana traded to the Brewers. The Pirates got an 18-year-old shortstop prospect, I believe, for a 37-year-old rental in Carlos Santana. I mean, that just goes to show you if this is a seller's market, because I mean, Santana was by no means having a great year. I mean, he was probably around a league average hitter. So for them to get an 18-year-old prospect who still has a lot of time to grow, I thought that was very, very interesting.
Well, they sound like they kind of like that kid a little bit. So that was, I agree. I mean, Santana's definitely on the downside of his career, has been for a while. It's been a while since he's been thought of as a dangerous hitter. I got to believe what they're hoping is that he's the kind of guy who can take some at bats down the stretch and into the playoffs and will give you that quality at bat. He takes a lot of pitches. He draws his walks. That's the kind of guy who can help turn a lineup over if he's being patient like he has been throughout his career. But yeah, I was kind of surprised by that move too. But it just shows you if there's a market for Carlos Santana, there should be a market for some other quality players.
From Tiger Town, who said the rumor of Michael Lorenzen getting traded to the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox are another really interesting team to watch this deadline. But yeah, that would be my pick is Michael Lorenzen. I think there's just no reason to keep him on this team. He's an impending free agent, 31 years old. I mean, we're very grateful for the season that he's had here. Like I said, he's had a career year. But I think Lorenzen makes sense for a lot of teams as a back-end starter, but also as a long reliever out of the bullpen too. So seeing that comment from Tiger Town about the Red Sox, it'll be interesting to see what they do, but they could definitely be an option for Michael Lorenzen. But in terms of most surprised if they don't get traded, Lorenzen would be my pick. And then in terms of like a player, I think the Tigers should trade. I think Jose Cisnero, I think they should look to trade him. He's getting up there in age, has kind of tailed off over these last couple months, has struggled a little bit, but I still think there's some value in his arm. So he's a guy I think you should package together with a Michael Lorenzen or an Erod. So for me, it would be most surprised if Lorenzen doesn't get traded, and then Cisnero would be my guy. I think the Tigers should really look to trade this deadline.
It's interesting to hear that there's a rumor to the Red Sox for Lorenzen, only because the Red Sox, even though they're above 500 for a while, they were in last place, but they have been playing better. I'm sure that's again another market where they want to be in go for it mode. And to be honest, with their revenue and everything else, they should be going for it. And there's no reason for them to, if they're have an above 500 competitive ball club, not to make some kind of run at things. So yeah, if they're snooping around for Lorenzen, that's probably a deal that won't cost a ton in terms of prospects, something they can see as a short-term boost and doesn't hurt them long-term in their talent base. So, yeah, we'll have to see where that one goes. For me, the one who, if they doesn't get traded, it's kind of an easy answer, but it should be Rodriguez. No, the only thing I can see is if Detroit makes some kind of deal with him where they add some money to each year on the remaining deal and add a year at the end. If that happens, maybe he would consider opting in early and making that an extension and keeping him in Detroit. I really don't see the need for the Tigers to do that. However, his deal is very affordable. If he wants to opt in at the end of the year, great. Wherever he goes, I think any team would take that as an affordable contract. But I don't think he's, again, as good as he's pitched this year, I don't know if he's good enough to care long term if he stays or not. I think if you find a price, if you set a price here at the deadline, you find the guys you want, you don't even worry about opting in, opting out, extending him, all the other crap. You just make the move, you live with it, and you move forward.